Hey, hold this. Be sure not to lose this one. And you give that. Just this one.
Go. Right.
Thank you.
Aloha, guys. Have fun.
Thank you. Thank you.
Welcome aboard. Good morning.
Thank you. Come here, come here.
The crew. In the back we got Tyler there. Jason's further back than he is. Our supermodel up front with me is going to show off our safety equipment. This is Gurney. And right up front, our captain of the high seas, who's switching out right now, that's Danny Bunnell. How about a loud round of applause for her? She's kind of the moody type. We got to keep her happy or she doesn't come back for us. It's a long swim. Okay, on the way out, guys, I'm going to cover a couple pieces of equipment on this vessel and a couple pieces of safety equipment on the submarine as well before we get there. I'm going to tell you on the way out, once we get to the sub, I'm seeing them right now over on the starboard side. Hopefully we'll get some on the port side. There they are on the port side as well, showing up. Very easy to spot those bright yellow fish with blue stripes on their side. Those guys are called ta'ape. That's a great big school
of fish.
Judging by the size of that school, I'm guessing it's a public school. So that's actually an introduced species. Again, it's called the blue striped snapper or ta'ape. Those guys are invasive at this point. If you know the Hawaiian language, there's no T in the Hawaiian language. There's 13 letters. T's not one of them. These guys made their way over to Hawaii in 1958 on a boat. Some genius thought they would introduce an alternative food source to the island. They dumped 2,000 tape in the water off of Honolulu. 1959 was the year Hawaii was
How many fish are there?
The population was growing rapidly. They put these in the water. They spread like wildfire. Those are as big as they ever got. What you're looking at right there is a full-size ta'ape. These guys get between 3 and 5 pounds in French Polynesian waters where they're from. The water in this area is about 68 degrees year-round. In French Polynesian water, the temperature hovers between about 80 and 88 degrees. So it stunted their growth. They never became a commercial fishery. It is a type of snapper, the blue-striped snapper. People fish for fun in Hawaii. They do eat them. It is tasty fish, but they say in the islands, it takes 2 ta'ape to make a taco, yeah? Another thing about that fish, they suspect it's the diet down here that they've adapted to. They don't keep. If you put that fish in the fridge for a couple of days, it ends up just kind of a pile of mush on the plate. Some people refer to that as tapioca. Not very appetizing. Question there, yeah? There's the shark question and the turtle question. I'll tell you, we do see both of those periodically. It's somewhat rare. When it comes to the shark, it's got sort of a white ring by the end of its body, all black over there, and one further out in the distance, way up there on the starboard side as well. The port side is kind of right. That's another type of triggerfish. Those guys are called the Humuhumu leocole. That fish on the surface has a bright pink tail. Down here it looks green. That's because it's got blood running through it. Those guys are known as a pink-tailed triggerfish. On a hard pole, if you ever get a heartburn, I wouldn't recommend it. But inside that little calcium carbonate shell, that coral polyp, just like a coral, it's producing a little bit of sand. So that stuff is flaking off a little bit of calcium carbonate, and it ends the sand down below it. Something interesting about that halomina as well, again, not found anywhere else in the world but here in Hawaii, that stuff's freshwater grass or freshwater algae. It's growing in freshwater springs that are welling up out here, coming up through that porous lava flow below the sand that you're looking at. you're going over these areas, you actually sometimes see a little shimmer to the water. That's that fresh water mingling with the salt water that works its way up out of the bottom. That fresh water comes all the way down from the top of the volcano where it rains every day and works its way down here. You got a big Goodyear grouper out there on the starboard side. Firestone flounder, yeah.
Another
Joke usually
tire.
wears pretty flat. I'm tired of it. Sorry about the subpar humor. Things open. All right, those guys usually don't come out during the day.
Over there.
That's one of the few type of sharks that are like they do what they call sleeping. Yeah. They can actually lay on the bottom. They got a special muscle right below their mouths that allows them to pump water across their gills. Wow, got some great views.
Oh
All right, let's keep our hands and feet inside the submersible at all times. Actually, a lot of people think that sharks are man-eaters, and that's just not true. They prefer women and children. All right, they're really putting on a show. That's a little one there, and a big one.
Oh, right there, there's a shark.
Yeah, those guys are probably sleeping up in the front of that thing, that boat, when we came by and we woke them up and they came out. So I hope you guys are seeing that also on the starboard side. We will turn around. Hopefully everybody get a look at that. It's so neat to see down here. So that's called the Crazy Lady, or the Naked Lady, that boat. It used to be known as the Angea before it sank down here. That was a high-end sailboat. They call that a steel concrete hull. Very seaworthy vessel that actually sailed here all the way from Alaska back in 1986. A couple brought that to the Big Island. They were looking for a spot to actually live on board. They were going to retire on that boat. Once they got here, the husband flew back to Alaska to get a few more supplies. That boat was moored right above us. The lady was on board, and she decided one evening to tackle the bug problem that had sort of arisen during the long voyage. Well, she lit a couple of signaling flares and put them down below to smoke the bugs out. Well, she successfully rid herself of the bugs and the boat the same day. Oh, you got it. There's a giant trevally out there kind of in the distance, guys. I don't know if you saw that. The big predatory fish. They set up little cleaning stations. Those guys will work on those big fish, clean the parasites off for them. There's that shark. All right. We're getting the show today.
Where's the shark?
Oh, there's a giant alua. Did you guys see that? Holy moly. That guy came right up. If you catch one of those alua here,
Look at those two big.
that weighs
There's
100
the shark.
pounds
The
or more,
shark.
you gotta be on
The shark.
shore.
Oh.
Those guys will put you in a record book.
The
You'll be in the books for good.
Oh,
That
this,
speed.
no, mommy, the fish right there. Mommy, the other fish right there.
Some great views there. You guys are seeing a bunch of sleek unicorns show up there as well. Here's a shark coming around the back of the boat, the stern.
Those fish are so big.
Little one.
They're
Now, I've seen a
massive.
few sharks over the years out here, and I'll say that's the smallest one I've ever seen out here. That's just a baby. Hopefully we don't land right on top of it. Looks like we're right underneath it.
Oh, mommy, right
There's
there.
that giant alua out in the distance, guys. If you can see that looking out starboard side. There's a couple of them there. Now, if we had any local fishermen on board, they would be trying to figure out where exactly we were, asking for coordinates. This is what they call a Higgins-style landing craft. And see, the front end's opened up. That's where troops and equipment would come out on the beach. This is the same landing craft they would have put on the beaches of Normandy in World War II. Those were made of wood at that point. This one's made of metal,
Baby
so it's a
shark.
later model.
Baby shark.
Did you guys see that large fish just swim by you right over the top of that rock? That's an area fish. That's called an amberjack. You don't see many of those amberjacks. They're also known as spaghetti fish here because they get a lot of worms in them. So you gotta be careful which one of those you catch and put in the fridge. So the story of how that one sank. There's a big crane on board. You might have noticed that. Now I'll tell you, this is a story I was told from the son of the guy that owned this at a bar one night. So I got to believe what he told me was true. There is some disputes among the crew members of what the true story is, but the story I was told from the son was that this sank because someone drilled a hole in it. Basically what happened was the guy that bought it was an ex-Navy SEAL. He owns a dive shop in town. He purchased out at an auction. He had a lot of military. You guys are going to see that environment below us change. You're going to start seeing the rocky substrate down there that this coral's all growing on. The coral's going to start to disappear. The rocky stuff you're seeing down there is an ancient lava flow. That all came from...
Mommy?
I'm gonna have you sit right over there, okay?
You got your 6 inches Corey Hawkins for the rest of your time.
All right, that happens quick, huh? How about a loud round of applause for our pilot up front? That was a heck of a tour.